What's up, Canes fans? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. We said the commitments would start rolling in, and the commitments are rolling in. Even some unexpected ones. Max Buchanan, blue chip offensive lineman out of Sanford, Florida. Somebody that Miami loved throughout the process, knew it would be a battle, and they won the battle, committing last night at the Rivals 5-star camp. We will talk about Max Buchanan, what he brings to the table. Also, great news for a former Cane, Keshon George, drafted 24th to the Washington Wizards last night in the NBA draft. We will talk about that. And we will also speak to Miami Hurricane forward, guard, Canes Connection athlete, AJ Staton-McCray, new transfer who we think is going to make a huge impact. Really interesting interview. Love learning about him and his background. Great kid. You will enjoy that. First, want to talk about some folks that are first round every year, and that is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life. They don't get paid until you get paid. Pete, let's jump in. Let's talk about Max Buchanan here. This, to me, shows that Coach Cristobal and Coach Mirabal can recruit offensive linemen anywhere in the country, whether it's American Samoa, whether it's Brockton, Massachusetts, whether it's Ocala, Florida, right in the heart of Gator country, or here, Sanford, Florida, Sanford Seminole. A guy like Max Buchanan picking Miami over Florida State and Clemson. When you're winning these kind of recruiting battles, you know that you can recruit offensive line with anybody in the country, going against anybody, and delivering elite results for what could be an elite offensive line for the foreseeable future.
And you look at the teams that Miami beat out, right? You know, Florida State felt pretty good about landing him at different times of the process here, D. And obviously he recently made his trip to Miami. But I think Canes fans, although they do trust pretty much wholeheartedly the O-line recruiting efforts that this staff has put forth, they've been waiting for a bigger, higher rated guy to pop. And that's what you get here with Max Buchanan as I pull up the highlights here.
Yeah, 6'4", listed 275. I think it's closer to 295. I saw him in person in spring. Really good looking frame, athletic, strong, going to gain weight. Looks like a blue chip player, which he is. Top 100 player in the country, according to On3. Clemson on him hard. Florida State wanted him badly. Those board, the 247s and all the Florida State websites were talking about how badly they wanted this player. Goes to Seminole High School in Sanford, Florida, place where Miami went to get Ray Armstrong, Dyron Dye back in the day. Andre DeBose went to Florida. If you remember that recruiting battle, I want to say 2000, was it 9-ish? That was a big time recruiting battle. Miami won that. Miami goes now back to Sanford High School in a region that has not historically been Miami friendly over time. The Central Florida region, you're getting 3 offensive linemen between Max Buchanan, Jaden Wilkerson, and Demetrius Campbell from that Central Florida area.
A lot of these offensive linemen that Miami has been recruiting, D, we talk about the physical traits, the basketball background, but when you watch Max Buchanan's film, you see the nastiness, the toughness. You're not projecting, right? And I'm not saying some of these other guys don't have that in them, right? But he's there from a mental standpoint, it seems like.
Yeah, it's a great point. This is everybody that talks about Max Buchanan, his coaching staff, guys that played against him. They say he's looking to bury people. He's not just looking to make his block, to seal a guy. He's looking to put guys in the ground. You see it on film. Even his interviews yesterday at the Rivals camp, he's saying he's coming to Miami to take a job year one. That's his attitude. He has that edge. And on offensive line, you always kind of want a mix of personalities, mix of body types, obviously generally big guys, but one size doesn't fit all. You want different types. Look at the 2001 offensive line and the kind of characters you had there. You had an Iranian Canadian, you had a Cuban, you had a former band guy from New Jersey. It was a whole different mix of personalities. They had great chemistry. And of course, on the field, the chemistry translated and they were the best offensive line maybe ever in college football. So getting a guy like this, I think, brings a nice edge to that room, which you mentioned has some guys that are more athletic, more basketball type guys. This is a nasty player. TK Moe's a nasty player from Jacksonville, who Miami got earlier in the process. And they're talking about 2 athletic basketball players, potential tackles down the road if they can develop, 2 mean, nasty guards that have some mobility. You see on the film from Buchanan, he can pull, he can hit targets in space. And the last piece of the puzzle, S.J. Alfatuli, we talked about on yesterday's show, crystal ball to Miami, not official yet, but if you can land him from Bishop Gorman, now you're talking about a full offensive line where the pieces fit.
D, is this a tackle all the way? In Miami's eyes, we talk about the versatility, the inside-outside versatility of some of these guys they've been recruiting. Is this a future tackle all the way in your eyes?
No, I think guard.
Okay.
So I think guard. I think the tackles projection-wise would be Campbell and Wilkerson, Demetrius Campbell, Jaden Wilkerson, the two basketball players from the Orlando area with that footwork, the athleticism, the length. They're a little bigger than Buchanan as far as their height. Buchanan, to me, is a guard all the way. He plays left tackle in high school because he's the best offensive lineman on the team. But I think inside, his demeanor, his personality, he's still going to be a good athlete there. He's going to have enough size when he gets in the weight room and get some food on him. Just from seeing him in person, the body type checks out as far as what you want at this level of offensive line. So I think guard with him, guard with TK Mo. Again, both those guys play tackle in high school because they are the best players on their team. But put him at guard, Wilkerson, Campbell, a tackle, and then that center right in the middle is the only spot you're missing for a complete five. Miami would love to add an S.J. Alfatuli or a Cortez Smith. He's another guy from Georgia that Miami really, really likes that could play that center spot. You got one of those two guys. You're talking about premier top 100 type players right there in the center, your center of the future to complement a Buchanan, a Mo, Wilkerson, and Campbell.
And Dia, I'm pulling up the pictures here of some of these official visits that he went to: Ole Miss, Clemson, Florida State. You talk about it all the time. I have a picture here of him fishing. So I mean, look, one of your guys here, he's got, I don't know if that's a bass or not. I don't think it is, but you're talking about a guy here who had legit opportunities elsewhere. Penn State was in the mix as well. So really a nice group of schools that Miami beat out here. Yeah,
he went. So he talked about it yesterday in his interview. At Penn State, he went fly fishing, which is a cool experience. I love to go fly fishing up there. He played, did the water slide at Clemson. Had Florida State, he did laser tag. Miami, he took a boat around Biscayne Bay and looked at, the $1 million houses and kind of lived that lifestyle. I would say Miami is as the edge. Certainly on Florida State, laser tag. That's pretty weak. So that would help explain why Miami was able to beat out Florida State for a Sanford kid that I honestly thought this is just, seeing where he's from, I thought this is going to be a Florida State or Clemson type kid. They wanted him bad, but that's why Coach Mirabal and Coach Cristobal are such great recruiters. Also Coach Pata, who's now able to be an on-field coach. Can't underestimate what he does in the recruiting process. He makes a major, major, major difference. Miami's an army when it comes to the offensive line. From the top, head coach, offensive line coach, and offensive line assistants, full court press, and that made a big difference with Max Buchanan because he was convinced that Miami is an offensive line-centered program. That was the differentiator for Max Buchanan.
And look, Miami's recruited a lot of offensive linemen the last couple of years. Not as many last year, but there should be an opportunity for him. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter right away. Obviously, he's going to have that mindset coming in, but there's going to be an opportunity for some of these young guys over the next year when they come in to get themselves in the mix.
There's no question about it. I mean, this guy said, I'm coming to take a starting spot. Will that happen? I don't know, but he's coming with that attitude. When you have a good offensive line, guys go pro. Maybe the next Cooper goes pro. Maybe, Francis Malinois goes pro when he's junior eligible in a couple of years. So
Jalen Rivers is on his last year. You're not, obviously, this kid's not a center, but the center position is going to be one that's up in the air there as well. Potentially S.J. Alfatuli, right? So obviously that's not official yet, hasn't committed, but Miami's looking good there as well. So things are definitely trending in the right direction here, D.
Yeah, excited to see how this offensive line class finishes. People were worried, but there's clearly a plan here. You're adding blue chip players on the inside, and the projects you're taking from the Florida area, I call them projects because they're converted players with less experience, big bodies who you could see the vision when you watch the film on a TK Mo, on a Jaden Wilkerson, on a Demetrius Campbell. So experience inside, guys that are ready to play from strong programs, and then on the outside, athletes that the upside potential is there. So good movement here on the offensive line for a program that's very much built around that group.
And as we move along here, switching gears to the NBA draft last night, D, I think we'll have to pull up the clips some other time, but you and I were all over this one very early. Keshon George, congratulations to him. First round pick last night. I got excited for a second there. The Knicks took him, and then it was a quick trade. I thought he'd be, lifting the NBA title next year, especially after what we saw with this trade the other day, Mikal Bridges. But Keshon George, man, a lot of people were, I don't want to say confused when Miami signed him, but his commitment last year came out of absolute nowhere. I think it should have been a telltale sign he was a legit draft guy when Jonathan Givony, Draft Express, was tweeting about him, right? He was the person to break the news, right? And give big time credit to Coach Larinaga and his staff, right, for identifying him, understanding he was probably only going to be there for 1-2 years at most, right? Knowing there was a big developmental curve for him, but now you have another guy that you can say, look, we helped him get to where he is. Obviously, it was only a year, but big time growth in that one season we saw here at Miami.
Yeah, unfortunately, like the timing didn't work out where I think Miami's going to be really, really improved this year in terms of basketball. Obviously, things were not clicking last year for reasons we talked about at length. He was a guy that was very much developmental. So I think the Keshon that you're going to see this coming year that you would have seen in college really could have made an impact on winning and losing. I think the team around him would have been better served to help him contribute to wins. It just didn't, the timing didn't match up. But this player picked Miami, gave it his all, and I think all of us are excited to see him at the next level. I'm looking at the box score, P. We were there together, UCF against Miami, and I'm looking at the box score. He had played 10 minutes. He was 1 of 5 from field, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 assists and a rebound and a block. And just on that kind of in-person eval, we came on and did an instant reaction pod, and we said, this guy looks like an NBA player all day. The handling, the form on the shot, the size, it just seemed like it would need to come together. He had a growth spurt. The pieces weren't all connected yet, but you could see the outline of what would be a first-round NBA player, which we saw yesterday with the Washington Wizards.
No, I was going to say, I think that the twitchiness is something that's going to be tested at the next level, at least defensively, the lateral quickness, but the length is there. I think the basketball IQ, very underrated as well. I think as a passer, has some room to grow, but people forget the growth spurt that he had coming in. You look at the videos of him from 2-3 years ago back in France, and he was like a little kid in some of those. So obviously we understand how the NBA drafts is very different from the NFL. A lot of these guys aren't expected to be day one starters, but he has a nice opportunity in Washington in a roster where there's not a lot going on, a lot of young guys. There's going to be a lot of development, probably not going to win a lot of games, but place like that, they can afford to throw him out there, and that's what he needs, right? I think we both agree that he's not there yet to be an impact player in the NBA, but he needs minutes to be able to develop into that.
Yeah, when he decided to go pro, we talked about that he was a guard, then had the growth spurt, but yet at UM, you didn't see him with all the ball handling responsibility because you had Nigel Pack, you had Bensley, you had a lot of guys that needed to be fed in terms of the ball. It was a disjointed situation. Going to a place like Washington, my concern him going pro was, is he going to get the reps he needs on ball to really develop in that aspect? Because NBA, you need a specific skill to get on the floor, really, especially with veterans that are looking at you to help them win right away. Going to a team like Washington, there's less pressure to win. So like you said, he can get his reps on the court, make his mistakes. It's clearly a youth movement there. Balak Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, the French, 2 French players. I believe Keshon George speaks French as well. I know he's from Switzerland, but I believe he's on the French side and speaks French. So that's a connection there. They just traded Denny Avdija, so that similar player in a lot of ways to Keshon George as far as being a taller kind of creative guy out there. So opportunities for him to play. Couldn't have been a better situation for reps. Obviously, it's a tough situation for wins and losses, but this is a guy who needs reps. The shooting is going to be there. He's 40% last year. Every time he shot, it felt like it was going to go in. How many times were we down and he kind of brought us back single-handedly, at least to be competitive at the end of games? It felt like whether he was banking them in or making them clean, it looked like there were times where he got pretty hot. You could see the stroke So excited to see the growth there, and very good for Coach Lair and his program that he can sell a first rounder. You have Bruce Brown doing his thing, Lonnie Walker, Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong knocking on the door, getting smaller minutes than this guy coming in with Keshon George. Now you're getting some pros from that pipeline.
We talk about it all the time in football, but it's probably even more important in basketball, especially knowing that one player recruiting them out of high school or the portal or wherever it may be can change your team in a very, very significant way in college basketball. So hats off to Coach L and his staff for, again, recognizing the talent and developing him. And look, it's easy to say that he didn't have the most incredible statistical season, but I think the growth was obvious along the way. And by the end of the season, he, for better or for worse, considering the way the season was going, he was one of Miami's best players and go-to guys.
No question. And the upside was never in question. I think the best version of Keshon George is still a couple years away, still looks like a baby in the face. It still does not look like, you look at Alex Sarr, he looks like a grown man in the face. Keshon George looks like, his little brother, even though I think Keshon George is actually older than Alex Sarr. So there's still some development left with him, both physically, skill-wise, and just experience-wise. So excited to see where he goes. I now have a reason to watch the Washington Wizards, which I didn't think I would. So excited to see him, and hopefully there are more Canes joining him at the next level from this class, including AJ Staton-McCray, Stanford transfer, guy that we're really
Samford, not Stanford. You said Stanford.
Stanford. Get a tongue twister here. Samford, what are they, Bulldogs?
Yeah, Bulldogs.
Samford Bulldogs. South Florida kid. Awesome interview. We always ask about people's athletic background, and learning about his was probably the most interesting of anybody. So you're going to really enjoy that. And I think he's a guy that really was the missing piece of this transfer class to make this Miami Hurricanes basketball team for 24-25 make a lot of sense. And I feel even better about it after the interview. By the way, Canes Connection members, I am having a Zoom call tonight at 8. It'll be recorded if you can't make it. If you're not a Canes Connection member, promo code CIS. Sign up today at canesconnection.com. That's Miami's official NIL collective, which allows us to acquire athletes like AJ Staton-McCray. So please, if you want to be part of the solution, sign up to Canes Connection, promo code CIS, get 20% off your first month and access to private insider Zoom. You'll get the absolute latest on recruiting from the most direct sources possible in a non-public setting. And next calls tonight. We'll tape it for members. If you sign up, you'll get the link. So promo code CIS, 20% off, and the link. Without further ado, Canes Connection athlete, AJ Staton-McCray.
All right, Canes fans, very excited to be joined now on the Canes Insight Daily podcast by new basketball player at the University of Miami and Canes Connection athlete, AJ Staton-McCray. AJ, welcome to the University of Miami, officially coming over from Samford for your final year here of eligibility. Canes fans are very excited about your addition to the roster. So welcome back home, man. I know you're a South Florida guy from Delray Beach officially. So how does it feel to be back home down here in South Florida?
It feels good. And quick correction though, I have 2 years left. So,
okay, so yes, yeah. So my bad. I know we'll talk about you had an injury your second year there, but this will be your 5th year now in college. So that's a great note. That's a great note to have a couple years of eligibility here, and obviously, again, like I said, back home here. So you have to be excited about that.
Yes, sir. I am. Moms can come see the games whenever now.
So your decision to come to Miami, man. Obviously, you had multiple suitors out there were committed to FAU for a bit, but Miami, what was it about them and your recruiting process that really drew you to them in this program?
Just the family like style, Coach L, how he plays basketball, like it's just his mindset going into things. And the fact that it's home, so that always works out best for me. So.
Now, AJ, you're a well-rounded player. We've seen you drive, we've seen you shoot, but the defense really stands out. Is that something that's always been part of your game? How did you develop that sort of defensive mentality?
It's always been there, but I feel like I consider it. I think tennis helped me out a lot. I used to play a lot of tennis growing up, so I feel like that's what helped me out a lot on the defensive end. And I just love it, to be honest. Something I always prided myself into doing. So I bring that everywhere I go.
Now, I got to follow up on that one. Tell me about your tennis background and how you think that helped translate to you playing defense.
Hand-eye coordination, just doing a lot of stuff growing up, baseball, tennis, football. So that helps just hand speed, hand-eye coordination, all the above. So footwork speed.
It moves side to side too, right? I mean, kind of like how you're doing in defense.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
AJ, how have the workouts been? I mean, getting to know your teammates a little bit obviously from a personal perspective is very important in this whole new era of college basketball, right, and college sports, where you guys are pretty much building a team in one off season, right? Because it's not like you guys have known each other for all that long. But your early impressions and workouts and kind of the collection of talent that you guys have assembled over there.
I don't know how it was last year, but we seem pretty together, Everyone talks to each other. We hang out in the locker room with each other the past 2 weeks I've been here, just chopping it up, talking. So it seemed like it's a family type vibe out here. Coach L is really enforcing that type vibe too, just for us to be together. Other than that, it's been good. It's been great. First week of camp was good. Got to see some new kids, so got to have fun with that. And workouts has been good as well. Just been grinding, stacking days, and getting better. So
you mentioned Coach L a couple of times now on how big it was for you in kind of your decision-making process, knowing that he's been there and done that and helped guys get really to the next level of their game. Obviously, winning is the most important thing, but you want to get to the next level. You want to have a chance to play there, and he's done that here. So how has him and his staff kind of in their pitch to you, where did they think that the next step for your game could be to help take you to that next level?
In terms of what? Like,
in terms of your game and kind of what you can bring to this team.
Oh, for sure. Just my mentality defensively, just bringing my dog that I've always played with since Sanford, since high school. And then my shooting capabilities. So being able to shoot with more volume, but also keeping the same efficiency. Just been working on that a lot. That's all he's been telling me. So, and being a tall guy that can help grab rebounds as well, run the floor, be good in transition, which he's very good, like adamant about spreading the floor. So, yeah.
You mentioned your 3-point shooting. You took a huge jump this last season, shooting 41.3% from three. I mean, was that just hard work? I mean, what do you kind of credit that jump to? And now, like you said, maybe getting a chance to shoot even more of those. How excited are you to have that opportunity?
For sure, hard work. For sure, one of the coaching staffs at Sanford, Nebru Exantis, he helped me out a lot. Me and my boy Achor, he was always in the gym with us. He stays in the gym late night with all the players out there. So, and he's a West Oaks alum, so it worked hand in hand from high school to college. And then, being healthy also helped a lot. Not having to wear a brace, not having to worry about your knee or whatnot. So being healthy also helped out a lot as well. So.
Now, you came from a great program at Sanford, NCAA tournament, but clearly you're a high major ACC caliber player. What do you think some of those schools might have missed about you coming out that now obviously everybody can see?
Hey,
listen, you can talk your junk now, man. You're here now.
I guess everything for real. Just me being able to be a game changer, being the X factor of any team I played on. You can ask my head coaches that they've all said the same thing. Even my AU coaches, they've all said the same thing. Like, he's one of those guys that really likes to win. So I'm all about winning, and when you're about winning, good stuff happens. So, that's all I'm gonna say.
Let me ask you, you're from South Florida. Obviously, you talk about that dog mentality, that winning attitude, and you got size. I'm sure there were some football coaches that saw you on the basketball court and tried to recruit you to play football. Was there any interest like that from the football coaches trying to get you over there? Like, how was your path towards really focusing on basketball?
No, I stopped playing football in middle school. I wasn't rocking with it. So they already knew, like, he's a basketball tennis guy. Like, tennis was my first sport, so I was lucky enough, blessed enough to be good at both. Very talented enough to have an opportunity to play professional tennis because I was on that track.
Wow.
I just didn't take that next step because I wouldn't have been able to play college basketball. So I decided to keep my my amateur eligibility, and towards the end of my freshman sophomore year, I decided to take basketball more seriously. So that's just where my life took me.
Do you ever get out there now and play any tennis? I mean, are you still like kind of connected to the game at all?
I keep rackets in the car, so yeah, a
Okay.
little bit. My mom plays a lot, so it's really her thing now. But I go out there every now and then.
And what was that professional opportunity? Because that's, obviously we never had chances to play professional tennis. I'm not sure how that world works. So talk to us about that, where that opportunity came to, there was a fork in the road and you could have potentially been a professional tennis player.
Well, you have like USTA, which is like, like AAU for basketball. And then the ITF was more like, I would say like a G League type thing. So if that's very interesting to understand. It's more like G League where you have an opportunity to get to the ATP. So the tours, like the Wimbledons, the US Opens, the French Opens, just the big tournaments like that. So I was lucky enough to be able to play in the ITF around 15, 16. I played like 2-3 tournaments. I wouldn't say I did good in them. I was young. I was still going through things. But if I would have kept at it, I for sure would have been good, been great. But I lost first rounds. It happens. But just being able to say I did it, I could have actually earned money just for making those first couple rounds, because that's how it works in tennis.
Right.
You get to the first round, you make money, win or lose. But I decided not to take that just because I wanted to also try basketball out as well. I didn't know which one I wanted to play. But yeah.
Listen, the Canes women's team had a national champion this year. So, tennis is obviously a big thing here in Miami as well. But
I've heard.
Yeah. So listen, I'm sure you've seen the facility there. Yeah, I'm sure if you want to go out there and get out there and let loose a little bit, they'll let you.
I haven't seen it yet. Someone has to come and show me around.
All right, that's right. Listen, it's next to the football facility there, next to the IM field. So you have to go find it. But
all right, for sure.
So go ahead, D.
No, I was going to ask. I've asked a lot of tennis questions because it's so rare to have that kind of combination of tennis and basketball. I know Drew Brees, the football player, was a tennis player as well. But obviously, being great at two sports, you're great at one that's an individual sport, and then one that's a team sport. What's that mentality like that you carry from tennis, where it really is kind of all eyes on you, and how do you carry that mentality separate from the physical skills to the basketball court?
Just loving the spotlight, I guess. That's what tennis is about. You're always in the spotlight, so just loving the spotlight. Like in the Kansas game, like we all went out there just loving the crowd. Like I love playing with the crowd, against the crowd. It brings an extra energy. So, and then just like with the individual side, I would say like not too focused on one thing. Just next point, next possession. Not always not worried about the last possession, just going on to the next one. That also helps with the team aspect of basketball as well. So.
That's great insight there. Let's talk a little bit about this team, this Miami team, this roster for next season, AJ. Obviously, when you go through your recruiting process, you look at who's on the roster, you look at who your teammates would be. Obviously, some guys coming back that have been here, and Nigel Pack, a Matthew Cleveland, for example. But when you looked at this roster, now that you've been there, right, what are you excited about in terms of how the roster is coming together and some of the pieces on this team?
I feel like it's more team. Like I think we're going to share the ball a lot. I see it in scrimmages. We share the ball a lot. We run the floor. So I feel like that's always going to equate to winning when you play as a team. So for sure. And having Matt back and Nigel back is always a plus,
Yeah.
2 big-time scorers on the floor.
And you're someone who can score the ball yourself, but obviously on the defensive end, you're covering a lot of these guys. So you see a guy like Jalen Blackman, who's a 20-point scorer, Nigel Pack, and then Jaleel Bethea, top 5 player in the country. What are you seeing from their offensive games, just from you guarding them and going against them?
They can find their open guys. They can create their own shots. That's always a plus. Jaleel is a big athlete, big-time athlete. And Jalen's just a smart guy. He's been in college for a little minute, so he just understands the game. So I see that in both of them. So,
And then you're not the only vet who's coming in too. You got Lynn Kidd over there from Virginia Tech, Brandon Johnson from ECU. So those guys, Kyrie Huey, another one, right? So there's it's not just the young guys. Obviously, there's some freshmen coming in there, but it seems like as a whole, you guys have played a whole lot of college basketball, right? So there's not going to be, you guys should be able to handle the ups and downs a little bit easier. So talk about how you think that should potentially help you guys this year.
It should be a big factor in it. That's just, you look at the last couple of teams that past few years that done big things in the tournament. They've all been guys who've been in the game, been playing for a little minute. I think it's just how it shifted with the NIL and all that. So I feel like it should play a big factor and not worried about who's doing this, who's doing that, just winning. So I think everyone on this team wants a March Madness run for sure. So, yeah.
Now, AJ, we talked a lot about you as an athlete. Talk about you as a person. When you're not playing basketball, what are you doing? What are your passions off the court?
I just be chilling. I ain't gonna lie. I play the game, just chill, watch some YouTube or some Netflix. I like to go out and have fun, a little bit, just do some activity stuff. I'm an active guy, so I like just doing stuff like that, whether it's bowling, Dave and Buster's, whatever it is. I'm trying to find some stuff out here in Miami to do, so still working on that.
Listen, based off what you're telling me, pickleball might be something that you're interested in.
I've played a couple times. It's all right.
It's a little slow.
I'd rather play real tennis, but
it's a little slow for you, probably, right?
Yeah, it's all right though.
Yeah.
When you're pulling up those YouTubes, are you watching like basketball stuff or like different topics that you're interested in?
For sure, basketball stuff, like a lot of Ball is Life, the Big Three, stuff like that, highlights, whoever it might be. And then just some stuff on YouTube, like I don't know, trying to find the right 2K build or whatnot. Just little stuff like that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so talk about watching NBA players right now in the NBA, especially when you see the Celtics winning the championship. The thing everybody wants is guys that are big wings that can go, two-way players that can guard, that can shoot, the versatility, really your exact profile. Is there anybody you watch in the NBA or in college that you say, you know what, I'm going to try to take some things from that person's game or model myself after that?
Doesn't matter who it is. These are like the recent guys.
Whoever you want.
Be the older guys.
Whoever you want.
I like Shea a lot. Shay's been the guy I've been watching the past like 5-6 months. Just a lot of his game. Who else? A lot of Derek White's another guy who plays defense a lot, who's also a guy who's just able to make the right plays at the right time, hit shots, and create as well for others. So him as well. And then I'm a big Paul George fan, so I watch a lot of Paul George too as well. Those are my three right now.
I was going to ask you, my question was about the big three. So when you watch the big three, are you watching because you were fans of those guys growing up, or are you
a little bit, yeah?
Are you watch them get in their bag and maybe see if you can pull some tricks? Because they're pulling out some crazy stuff in that half court setting.
That's facts, but mostly because I was fans of them growing up, watched them a lot growing up.
Okay,
guys like Isaiah Briscoe,
yeah,
those type of guys, Gerald Green, those are the most recent ones that have dropped lately. So
right.
But yeah, just fans, and I'll take some stuff from their game for sure.
Definitely.
So AJ, Canes Connection obviously brought us together here, gave you an opportunity to come to University of Miami. How has the relationship been with Canes Connection and the opportunity to expand your brand?
Oh, it's been great. They're just giving me great opportunities just to talk to a lot of people, a lot of different people I haven't met before, just to help my family out, stuff like that, and just being in a good environment for sure. So it's been great. I'd like to see what comes next.
Well, the Canes fans are very excited for what comes next this year. Obviously, a couple of years ago, Final Four run this last year, a lot of stuff, a lot of injuries, kind of held the team back, but very excited about this roster next year. And you're one of the big reasons why. AJ Staton-McCray, great to get to know you a little bit today. Appreciate your time. And once again, go Canes.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, this an insight to the Canes, and we ain't playing no games. Joaquin said dominate, so that's what we do. Home of the legends and 7th floor crew, down in Miami where hurricanes brew. You here for the rumors, we bring you the news, cause it's all about the you. and nobody do it like CanesInSight. 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 It's CanesInSight.